Hello, this is DC Hammer. Well, it's time for me to hitch up my overalls, strap on my tool pouch, and start swinging the hammer of justice. So let's start by pounding in some common nails as we rebuild these old houses, from the White House to the governor's mansions to the little houses on the prairies, to the everyman's castle in the suburbs to the condos downtown. After 2 centuries of abuse, this tattered USA of ours is truly a fixer-upper, but we have the tools and materials for a complete restoration. We just need the vision and sweat equity to make America great again. After all, President Trump can't do it by himself. He's already struck some mighty hammer blows for freedom and justice, but the deep state is fighting back with a vengeance, and it's all hands on deck. So let the restoration begin. Are you with me? So this humble plan calls for me to post videos on my very own YouTube channel, starting right now. And so I intend to start by recording new live streams starting next Monday, January 7, 2019. The schedule is to go live daily, Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. The target length for DC Hammer live streams will be 1 hour. But if you've seen some of my previous shows, it all depends upon the height of the waves of the continuing fake news tsunami, the intensity in the live chat, and when the dinner bell rings. Not necessarily in that order, though. So, then on to box nails. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to outline for you what the format will be on the typical show coming up and introduce you to kind of what it will look like. Pretty much a continuation of what I was doing before, but it will also then have a few new wrinkles based on current circumstances. So here we go. You'll be looking now at what I'll typically do at the front end of every show is, after doing an introduction, I'll just go into what I call the box nails. We've got the different construction terms from common nails and box nails, and that's what I'm doing with the hammer. So the box nails are typically going to be, I tend to warm up with some hammer swings at China, 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 driving home the stories that highlight the breaking news involving, by far, the largest threat to our future, the continuing rise of the tyrannical, bloodthirsty, communist Chinese dragon. So stories such as how, and what you're seeing on the screen right now, a few days ago, Chinese phone maker Huawei punished its employees for an iPhone tweet that they put out. And so you can't do anything in a communist or tyrannical state like the one that the communist Chinese have. And if you break the rules in any way, take any initiative on your own, do something that the deep state shadow government overlords don't like, you're going to get hammered big time. And so here's just one example. Just threw this up on the screen to give you an idea about how the typical broadcast will begin. And from there we'll move over and take some swings of breaking news pretty much around the globe. And so what you see now is something that's going on in Europe. We've been talking before in my previous broadcasts about the yellow vests in Europe and what's going on there. And so I just threw this one up as a kind of a little tidbit just for everybody to get an idea of the issues to be covered and addressed in this live stream. I have a particular interest for what's going on with Brexit, with the people that are protecting their countries by being strong, passionate patriots and nationalists around the globe, and are not going to roll over for the deep state and allow the borders to be put down, for the drawbridges to be laid aside, and for the hordes of people that represent cultures that are completely incompatible with the indigenous population of all these nations to be overrun by the horde. So that's what I'm going to continue to do, is to highlight a little bit of that. And then what I'm going to do is drive a spike through the heart of the deep state, and I'll be doing stories that are typically based in the United States, stories that are based out of news outlets. I typically concentrate on the alternative news outlets, and you see here kind of my go-to sites: Breitbart, the Conservative Treehouse, Gateway Pundit. Military Tribunals is going to be an important addition, and there's some interesting information that you'll be able to see as things go on. Here's the page from Military Tribunals right now. You've got Mark Taylor on there with his prophecies that have been coming out and coming true, and the issues that have come as far as the plan according to Q, and a variety of other things. But I think there'll be a lot more activity on this site once some things start to unfold in the near future, maybe even as early as this month. Then I always take a look at the New American, and then One American News Network. Take a little peek now and then at what's going on with Q, if there's anything interesting coming on there. From Right Side Broadcasting, they have a lot of good pieces. True Pundit, the WorldNet Daily, X22 Report. Dave does an outstanding job of reporting on the current events. And Zero Hedge. So that's kind of where I start on a daily basis, just to kind of check out what's going on in the news. And what I'm going to do is, after then covering a few stories that just make sense to find out what's going on with the nefarious activities of our shadow government overlords. And if, for example, I've got this story that you're going to see right up here on the page right now. This is from Cheryl Atkinson's page. If you're familiar with the career of Cheryl Atkinson, she was a reporter for CBS News way back when, and did some excellent reporting. She's a fearless reporter. She will not back down on different topics, even when she runs up against the deep state. And she has had run-ins with the deep state. Where she is headed, where Cheryl Atkinson is headed now, is that when she was attacked by the deep state back in 2021 and 2012, after she did some reporting on Fast and Furious and what was going on through the Department of Justice with gun running to Mexico primarily, and how that then oil slicked into a variety of bad deep state activities. She was attacked. Her laptop computer was attacked by the deep state, and she figured out what was going on, and so she filed a lawsuit against the Department of Justice in general, and a disgraced former Attorney General Eric Holder as an individual for violation of her Fourth Amendment rights, among other things. So Cheryl Atkinson continues to stand tall, and she has then, with her lawsuit against the DOJ and the FBI for government computer intrusions on her part, she has filed a claim with the Fourth Circuit Court, a complaint, and that is going forward and will actually be heard in court, in that court, on January 29. So I believe it would behoove us to prepare as well by looking into the root of all that evil, the gun running scandals that go way back and continue to this day. And I would then I have an idea of doing perhaps a series that would go into greater depth about some of those stories. I would either do some individual recordings offline and then just post them. Some of them will be material that will be fodder for the live streams, and one way or another try to do whatever we can to shine the light on the darkness. And I will do that as long as they don't take this down. And I'll typically try at the end of each day to tap into kind of a few what I call brads. I'm doing all the nail analogies since I'm the hammer of justice here. That's what I intend to represent. And so you get down to kind of the short swings at the end of the day, and we'll just do a couple, one or two things that kind of put people in a better mood on the way out, or highlight on something that's in the news but wasn't something that would go into depth through the core of the show. And one of them that's hit today that I thought I'd just throw up here as an example of the kind of things I'd probably close out with is this is a piece from One American Network talking about how Bill Gates, the protector of the world, along with Al Gore and the others of his ilk, was trying to pull off some kind of a nuclear venture with China. And now we're back, I've kind of gone full circle in just this promo episode for DC Hammer shows. And that is, we started with China and we're kind of ending on China. So what in the world would go through Bill Gates' mind for him to think that he could pull off some kind of a sweetheart deal, some kind of a specific transaction, some kind of a forced relationship, or some kind of a deep state, I would say, shadow over government relationship with the communist Chinese to pull off some kind of a nuclear deal. So first we have to suffer through the Iranian nuclear deal, and he was intending for us to suffer with some kind of a Chinese nuclear deal. But that's been halted, and that's not going to go through. Government officials have forced this company, Terra Power LLC, to abandon an agreement with China, and that's what the company officials are telling the Wall Street Journal. So just then, to tell you how things will close out in the future with these live streams, I would then go straight into a close that would cover basically the fact that we need to all be ready for everything that's happening on the global front. We need to be passionate patriots and truly shine the light on the darkness, because as we head down this path, the deep state is not going to relent. They are not going to give in. And so I would hope that you would be interested enough to at least check out the first live stream starting this Monday, January 7 at 5 o'clock Eastern. And what we would be doing then is going through this exact kind of a format as I just outlined. So tune in, buckle up, and let's hammer out the truth. Get ready to swing some hammers and knock some holes through the darkness. Let the light shine through, for we will never surrender. We will never be silenced, and we will continue to fight on to victory in God's name. So God bless you all, and I'm looking forward to being with you weekdays, 5 p.m. Eastern, starting this next Monday, January 7th. So this is DC Hammer signing out.